Alrighty, so if you are in my A-Day group, this is this week's schedule. Okay, so today you guys have a substitute with the video. You're going to work on lesson 9 and you have a worksheet, your homework number 5. Okay, tomorrow you'll have a Quizalize game for you to do. There'll be a link for you to go to. And then Friday's an actual open note quiz over adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. Now, before you take your quiz, if you feel like you need a review, there will be 2 opportunities at 11 and 2. Okay? All right, so if you got your quiz score back in Power School, you can check and see how well you did. Okay, this is the grades accordingly to be able to get an A B, a C, and a D. Right? Make sure you're actually watching the virtual videos that are made for you for when you are at home. Okay, let's check your homework, page 295. So you needed to add your opposite for number 4, and then you have an improper fraction, so you need to simplify it to a mixed number. If you need to, pause these and check your work. Okay, number 10, you were supposed to actually add your 2/3 and your 3/4 to get 1 and 5/12 miles. 11 was a 2-part question. You first had to add your 1/6 and 1/4 and then subtract it from your 2/3 to get 1/4 hours. 12A, you should have added to get a 5/8. And 12B, you got 6/8, which reduced to 3/4. All right, so you should have a paper given to you. If not, if you're at home doing this, go ahead and get your notebook out. Today we are going to review your adding and subtracting signed mixed numbers. So our objective today is that I will add and subtract positive and negative mixed numbers. That's all that signed mixed numbers means, is that they're positive and negative. Then because we are 7th graders now, we need to simplify all solutions into their lowest terms. So let's look at number 1. Number 1, first I want to know, do I have a common denominator? They both have a 9, so I do. I don't need to change the fractions whatsoever. They may look, I have both positive numbers that I am going to add. So you first start, and I know it's going to be a positive because they're both positive. And then I have a 9 that's going to stay my denominator. So first, let's add our numerators of 5 and 8. So 5 plus 8 is 13. Then we can add our whole numbers of 3 and 2 to get to 5. Okay? We can't leave our answer that way though, because this is improper. It's improper because my numerator is greater than my denominator. So you could do long division and see how many times can 9 go into 13, and then subtract your 9 to get your 4. Our 4 is now our numerator, and a 1 becomes our whole number. I need to add a 1 to this 5 and take away 9 from the 13. So our final answer is 6 and 4/9. And make sure you fill in your notes for that. Okay, let's look at number 2. I have 12 and 9/11 plus 20 and 5/11. They both have a common denominator, so we got an easy start. They're both positive that we are going to add. So I know my be a positive answer, and I know I'm going to have 11 at the bottom. Okay, so now let's take our numerators and take our 9 plus 5 to get a 14. Take your whole numbers of 12 and 20 to get 32. Once again, we have an improper fraction. Okay, 14 can go in, 11 can go into 14 one time. We got to add 1 to my whole number. We get 33 and then 3 11s. We're going to have to take 11 away from 14. Right, you need to pause that and fill in your notes. Okay, now 3, we have a whole number, and we need to take away 8 and 7/15. Well, I have to rewrite my whole number as a mixed number, but it's the same value. Okay, so if I know 19 plus 1 make 20, I need to make a fraction that's going to equal 1. So look at my denominator here, and I see I have 15. So if you had 15 cookies and you ate all 15, you ate the whole batch. Okay, so let's write this as 9 and 15/15. That's the same as 20. It just looks different. It's like you being the same kid but getting a new haircut. You're still the same, you just look different. And then we can subtract. Now I can take my 8 and 7/15 away. Okay, my answer is going to be positive. Take 15 minus 7 to get my 8. Take your 15. Then 19 minus 8 is 11. And that cannot be reduced anymore, so that is our final answer. All right, number 4, we have common denominators, and they're both positive, but we have to subtract. But we are going to have to do that regrouping because I cannot take 4 away from 3. So I kind of got to borrow from this 8. My 8 is now going to turn into a 7. And because my denominators are 5, I need to add a whole. It's kind of like having 3/5 plus 5/5. Well, that's going to be my 8/5. So I know I'm adding a 5 here. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract my 2 and 4/5 from that. So now we can continue with our work. We've got to take our 8 minus 4 for our numerator. We'll get 4 on top. Keep our 5 as our denominator, and now do our whole numbers of 7 and 2. We get 5 and 4/5 as your final answer. You need to pause the video so you can finish up your notes. All right, here we go. We now have negatives and not common denominators. Okay, so first we need to find our common denominators. Okay. So I think, what numbers do 3 go into? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. What about 4? We got 4, 8, 12. Oh, look, there we got a match. So this is our least common denominator. Now remember, whatever you can multiply the denominator by to get to 12, you have to do the numerator the same, or it's not the same fraction. All right, so I'm going to multiply my other one by 3. Sorry, my daughter's making me. Okay, now, see how we got 2 negatives? It's like if you go to the store with your little sister. Right? If you go to the store with her, you got to bring her home. We start with negatives. When we rewrite this, we still need to have negatives. So remember to rewrite it with the negatives. Then we can go and look into our integer rules. Okay? So look, we have 2 negatives. So if we follow our song, same signs, add and keep, different signs, subtract, we have same signs. Okay, so we know we got to keep our sign because twice we are decreasing. So we're going to get an even bigger decrease when we get our answer. Okay, so now we need to add our 8 and our 9 to get 17 and keep our 12. But it's an improper fraction. So we need to take 12 away from 17. Keep our whole number of a -1 and 5 12. That is our final answer, folks. All right, if you feel confident, pause this and try doing number 6 on your own. Otherwise, just follow along. We know 10 can go into any number that ends with a 0. So let's just do our 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. The 40 is our least common denominator. So I'm going to have 40 here, and I'm going to have 40 here. Multiply by 4. Whatever you do to the denominator, you've got to do to your numerator. Right? Same thing with this one, except now I'm multiplying by 5. Now, remember when we subtracted integers, we had to add the opposite. And the same goes with this. We have to add the opposite. We gotta take our subtraction, turn it into addition, take our positive, and turn it into a negative. Right? Because now we can follow our addition rules. Same signs add and keep, with different signs subtract, and then keep the signs a higher value. If I think of it, 12 and 25, which one is farther away from 0? Well, the 25, so it's my higher value. So that tells me my answer is a negative answer. Now I got to subtract. Remember, whenever you subtract, you put the higher value on top. So I have to take 25 minus 12 to get my 13. So our answer is a negative 13 40ths. Right, you need to pause this and catch up with your notes. All right, number 7, we have 4 and 1/6 minus 2 and 3/4. Let's switch it up. Let's go with a purple. Right? So a lot of kids, if they don't list out the multiples, want to use 24 for their least common denominator. Okay? But in fact, our least common denominator is 12. So you think about, oh yeah, they both do go into 12. So we need to multiply by 2. Now I'm not multiplying my whole number, just the fraction part. Okay, so we have a 4 and 2/12. Okay, and this time I'm going to write my question vertically. Okay, I know 2 is going to stay for my whole number. I have to multiply the fraction both by 3 to get a 9/12. And this is why I wrote it vertically. I have to do some regrouping. Okay, so we got to regroup. Can I take my 9 away from my 2? I can't. So this is where I'm going to have to take a whole from my 4 to turn it into a 3. I'm going to add 12 to my 2 to get a 14/12. Then we can subtract our 2 and 9/12. Okay, so 14 minus 9 is 5. Remember, denominator stays the same. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, so we got our final answer of 1 and 5/12. All right, if you're feeling confident, go ahead and pause and try doing number 8 on your own. Always good to see how well you can do. All right, you should have gotten a least common denominator of 20. And then multiply by 5 for the first one, and multiply by 4 for your second one. So we really have 15/20 plus, now remember that whole number, you go to the store with your sister, you got to bring her back with you, and 8/20. Now you can add, and you'll get 1 and 23/20. Okay, so that's an improper fraction. So we have to add a whole and then take 20 away from our 23. We really end up with 2 and 3/20. Okay, if you have any questions, check your work, see if there's anything that you missed. So now let's take a quick look at the homework. Okay, so your homework, the first part's going to start you off thinking of how do we solve these. Okay, so we look at number 1. it's a subtraction problem, a negative minus a positive. So we need to add the opposite. Okay, so it's really a negative 5/8 plus a negative 10. Okay, so if we know first what we have, we should be able to answer, is it going to be a positive or negative solution? Okay, well, we want to say it's going to be negative. Why? Because you're adding two negatives. You're decreasing twice. So that's what you would fill in there. Two negatives. Decreasing twice. I must add or subtract because, well, we follow our rules, same signs, add and keep. That means because we have same signs. What does my common denominator will be? Well, we don't really need to worry about that because they are kind of common. We have a whole number and a fraction that we're adding together. Now you can change your fraction so that you have, or your whole number so that you have a mixed number, both with the 8 on the bottom for your denominator, but we really don't. So if I think of this, I have no whole number for my first fraction. So that's really saying 0 plus 10. So we already said we know it's a negative. Now if we look at the fraction part, I have 5/8 plus nothing. Well, that's still going to be 5/8. So the answer should be a negative 10 and 5/8. All right, so number 2. Is your answer going to be positive or negative? Look to see which one's your higher value. Okay. Then, are you going to add or subtract? Is it same signs add and keep or different signs subtract? And then, what's your common denominator? What number is in our denominator part? Are they the same or are they different? This time around, they're the same. Okay, so go ahead and complete the rest of your worksheet and have a great day.